It's just, how can things be easy? Everybody's so busy. How can we make sure that they're making the right choices when everyone's as busy as they are? What resources do I have that I can give my client that isn't a book, that isn't really complicating? It might be an ebook that they download from your site, but I like to make sure that ebooks are quite pretty. If you can, depending where you make it and where you store it, you might actually be able to store a little video of yourself in there explaining things. So our resources, now that we're online and we have access to all of these systems, I mean, you use Canva and you've just got access to so many systems. You can store things on YouTube that you then link into an ebook. And it means that your clients have the resources they need, but it reduces your overwhelm and the reliance on you to tell your client everything word for word. Hello and welcome. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to your needs, the needs of the practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business and something clinical each week, you'll get the variety you need and enjoy to stay motivated in practice. Hello everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you? Well, we've just had the Confident Consulting weekend and it was really good. Conducting confident consults, workshopping, brainstorming, masterminding, all the resources that were there already. It was absolutely brilliant. We had a really good time. There were some glitches, obviously, but hopefully most people didn't notice them or they forgot about them pretty quickly. So using resources, we talked about using resources when we were together and how many places we can get them from. So, there's companies that create them, the Natural Resources Group, that we used some of theirs during the talk, and I'll put a link for them here in the show notes. But remember, there's the ones that you got from college. And if you're in college now, have a look at some of those resources and think, how can I make these work for me? So, intake forms are generally online now. And in college, when you're doing your clinic placement, you might be in the room with people and have hard copies. So we need to make sure that we've got a copy that we can use for ourselves from college. So that intake form, the one that you tick box, have epilepsy, cardiac problems, am I allergic to things? That one's going to be pretty much the same no matter where you are. So you could use that one if you wanted to. Or there's lots of places you can get them from. The companies have links to these things. You can buy links so that they're pretty for you and they've got your logo on them. You can create them if you want to. But resources are definitely a practitioner's best friend. Now, there's some that I find I use over and over again, and there's some that I have then turned into fillable forms and use those with my clients. And they're all in the Academy. So for members of the Academy, they get access to those, all the fillable forms. But the companies have them as well. So here's me just throwing out that word, the Academy. Have I even told, do you know about the Academy? So the Academy is where I have trainings 3 times a month, where we have big events. We do have, they've always been online, but this year we're going to have our first in-person retreat in November. So there's lots of information there from my practice, from when I'm, from what I do and what I use is all in there. There's trainings to get things out to the world. There's things that I've done in the past. So there's, you can buy as a separate little thing, creating a Facebook group, because of course I run 2 really big successful Facebook groups. So, they're quite specific to who they have in them, which means that they're not as big as they would be if they were public groups, and I named them as a public group, which is all explained in the training. So, there's a $47 training there that members of the Academy have for free. Everything that I do, if you're in the Academy, then you get discounts. You get a 30% discount to any of my bigger trainings. So it's a great place to find resources and have access to resources on a regular basis. Now, everyone who did Confident conducting confident consults at the weekend, they were using some resources from the Academy, and a number of the people who did the course were Academy members. People who were in my graduate mastery program were there at the weekend. So it was a good mix of people, and there were lots of learnings happening. And one of the big things was those resources, making sure that, personally, as I said to everyone, I've only ever had literally half a dozen recipes that I hand out to my clients, ones that I know across the board are going to work. How to make muesli, porridge and porridge toppings, how to change the flavors. Have you thought about putting peanut butter in your porridge if you like peanut butter? Have you thought about putting honey on it? Have you thought about putting dried fruit in it? There's all sorts of things that your clients might go, oh, I don't like porridge, and then you say, well, what about this, or what about that, what about change? They go, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, I haven't done that before. And that changes it for them, and it adds the protein. So there's, I've really only got half a dozen breakfast sitting there. I've got for lunches, I tell people how to make salad jars. It's just, how can things be easy? Everybody's so busy. How can we make sure that they're making the right choices when everyone's as busy as they are? What resources do I have that I can give my client that isn't a book, that isn't really complicating? It might be an ebook that they download from your site, but I like to make sure that ebooks are quite pretty. If you can, depending where you make it and where you store it, you might actually be able to store a little video of yourself in there explaining things. So our resources, now that we're online and we have access to all of these systems, you use Canva and you've just got access to so many systems. You can store things on YouTube that you then link into an ebook. And it means that your clients have the resources they need, but it reduces your overwhelm and the reliance on you to tell your client everything word for word. So resources are really important, but we only need some. I've just told you they're really important. Now I've told you we only need some. And the other thing, of course, we can do is links to the companies. The mood disorder appraisal is great. We can easily download those online and just hand them to our clients. We don't have to recreate anything. There they are. But then, of course, there's Bioconcepts has the mood, their appraisal, and you can send that to your client to fill out to know which amino acids and things you should be focusing on. So there's lots of resources that the companies have, but we have to remember that we don't want to be reliant. We're using that company's resource, but we don't have to use that company's products. Yes, we're using that company's resource, being mindful that every time we look at their logo, we're not going, well, I have to use their product because it's reminded me to use their product. That there are lots of products, lots of practitioner products out there for us to choose from. And as we begin to niche, our resources tend to follow us into that niche. They tend to be what we want to use and what we need and what we repeat. And that we share with our clients. So, loads of resources in the Academy for the Academy members. If you want to be a member of the Academy, that's really super easy. You just go to geraldineheadley.com and there it is on the front page. So thank you so much. I'm keeping this short and sweet, nice bite-sized podcast, because it's time for me to rest my voice after the weekend. So have an absolutely brilliant one, and I'll keep you updated. And over the coming month, we've got some conversations with, we've got David Castellane coming up. We've got Cherry Willis from Metabolic Balance coming up. We've got Dawn Whitten coming up. So we've got some some lovely conversations coming up over the next few months, as well as learnings from the weekend. We've got other trainings coming up as well, so keep your eye out. Join my email list. Make sure that you're getting my updates. Make sure that you're getting the Friday update if you're in Strictly Education and Support, where my VA posts what's happening and what's available. So lovely chatting. Enjoy your afternoon. Bye. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.